web analytics. Here's an example of a more informal introduction. Hi, I'm Gina. I'm in the sales department. I manage our sales team. How would you introduce yourself in a meeting? You can give it a try now. Now that you've introduced yourself, the meeting will begin. During the meeting, you might need to give your opinion on the different agenda items which you are discussing. You might also need to react to other people's suggestions. How can you do this? When making suggestions, modal verbs can be very useful. Should, ought to, or might want to can express something you think is a good idea, but not an obligation. We ought to give new clients a gift from the company. We might want to consider looking for another engineer to help with this. Or, I think we should make this a priority for this month. Have to and need to can express something that is an obligation. We have to improve the way we collect and record sales data. Or, we need to find a cheaper solution. Our budget is very tight. Remember, you can also use these to make negative suggestions. We shouldn't rush this. We need to think it through carefully. Or, we don't need to hire new staff at the moment. Now, it's your turn. Choose a phrase and make a suggestion for something in your own company. Next, what can you do if you want to respond to another suggestion? Well, if you think it's a good suggestion, you can show you agree with phrases like, I agree with, that sounds good, or let's go with this idea. Here, go with means you agree with this idea and think you should put it into action. However, what if there is a suggestion you don't agree with? Here are some good, professional ways to disagree. To be honest, I'm not sure about this idea. Good suggestion, but I see a few problems. Or, I see your point. However, after a phrase like this, explain your point of view. For example, I see your point. However, I don't think advertising in a magazine is a good idea. People don't read them as often these days. Or, to be honest, I'm not sure about this idea. I think improving our website UI is a higher priority right now. Okay? Now, take the suggestion which you made earlier. Pause the video and write down 2 sentences. One to agree and one to disagree. Use the language you just learned. Now, let's move on to different ways to ask a question in a meeting. As an attendee, it's important to make sure you understand the content in the meeting. Sometimes, the chair will ask everyone to save questions until the end. If you are in a meeting where you can ask questions at any time, there are a few good phrases you can use. For more formal meetings, You can begin with a phrase like, sorry, or excuse me, to politely bring the attention to you. Then, you can use phrases like, I have a question. Why is, how, or does this mean? For example, excuse